So Charlie, we will knit across the first needle, take off my little row marker, knit across the second needle. I'm not really sure why it makes a difference, but that's what the directions say, so I follow them. And now this needle becomes your first needle. So for our increases for this, I think it's the left mitt. The first time we go around, we're going to knit to within 2 stitches. We're going to make a stitch in between, then knit 2. On this next needle, we are going to knit 1, make a stitch, and knit to the end. The next row is knit. As with any increase, you're knitting a row in between. The row after that, this needle always remains the same. You're always knitting to within 2 stitches, so your stitches that you're making kind of go in a diagonal that way. So on this one, it's knit to within 2, make a stitch, knit 2. It's that way on every increase row. On this needle, the first round you're knitting 1, making 1, knitting to the end, knit a row. The second increase row you're knitting 2, make a stitch, knit across. Then you're knitting 3, doing the same thing. You're doing that all the way up to 6 stitches. So this increase is easy. On the other mitt, you're doing it the opposite way. We'll get to that. But on the other mitt, you're knitting to within 1, increasing, and then knitting to within 2, and on the second needle, you're always knitting the 2. So, I'm going to start, and I'll put my little row marker back on. So we're knitting to within 2, we are picking up a stitch right there, making a stitch, knitting 2. On the next needle, we are knitting 1 and making a stitch, that little loop in between the stitches. You're just picking it up, making a stitch, and knitting to the end. The third needle consistently remains at 10 stitches. The other 2 needles get up to 16 with 6 increases. So the third needle, just knitting across. Then you're doing your even rows, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 are all knit rows. Your odd rows are all your increase rows.